Grease is the word, again. Now, 20 years after its premiere, the movie has found new life and a new generation. The re-release has made the 70s John Travolta the heartthrob of 90s teenage girls. But perhaps the real comeback story belongs to Travolta's co-star. Here's Josh Mankiewicz.
You better shape up, 'cause I need a man, and my heart is set on you.
20 years ago, everyone wanted what John Travolta wanted. Olivia Newton-John.
To my heart I must be true.
And now, after years in the shadows, it's happening all over again. Like disco and platform shoes, another icon of the 70s is on the comeback trail.
I'm a survivor. I'm here and I'm healthy and I'm very fortunate.
It's an amusing twist of fate for a woman whose life over the last several years has been short of laughs. Just an awful personal downturn for you.
My father died. I had breast cancer, and then a couple of years after that, I got divorced.
After more than 30 years in show business, fame was the last thing on her mind. Olivia Newton-John grew up under the spotlight. This is her at age 14 as Lovely Livy on an Australian kids show. That same year, she and friend Pat Carroll toured Australia as a singing duo.
Show me the way.
By 1970, she was living in England and singing with a band called Tomorrow, which was supposed to be Britain's answer to the Monkees. But Tomorrow never arrived.
If you love me, let me know.
And her big break actually came as a country pop singer in America in the early 70s, even though the reviews weren't always good. A lot of music critics sort of dismissed you as being too sugary and too sweet.
If an air hostess could sing was one of them. White bread could sing and all this stuff. I just said, well, lucky a lot of people like white bread, what can I say?
That clearly doesn't bother you.
I mean, I think I have more to me than that. I think I'm a little more whole wheat than white.
Have you never been that low?
But even Olivia admits she'd tired of the good girl image. And then along came Grease.
Denny, I don't know what to say.
It gave her a chance to go from sweet
Oh.
to sexy.
I think if Grease hadn't come along, I would have continued on, and goodness knows what would have gone, where my musical career would have gone.
It is the 6th most popular soundtrack in history. 20 million copies, and more than 1 million of those have been sold in the last 2 years.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And you acted in Grease for $125,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you ever look at those video sales and the soundtracks, or hear it on the radio and think to yourself, I got ripped off?
No, I don't feel that, because we got a little bit. It's been very good to me, that movie, in a lot of ways. I was able to change my music in another direction, you know, able to do a little more rock and roll music that I never would have dared to do.
And that led to Let's Get Physical. This was pretty risque stuff back in 1981, and Olivia almost didn't release the record and video.
I heard the song, knew it was a hit record, recorded it, and then like a week before it was due to come out, started to panic. Called my manager, went, oh, I'm not sure, you know, maybe I've gone a bit too far, you know.
And your manager said, what, it's too late to stop it?
Yeah, basically. Are you stupid? You know.
Smart manager. Physical went on to become the largest selling single of the 1980s. Oh, and if you were a young guy back then, she was it. Her nickname? Olivia Neutron Bomb. You must know that you were like this tremendous heartthrob for guys all over this country.
So I've been told.
You weren't aware of that at the time?
Well, I guess, but you know, when I meet people now and they say, "Oh, you were my favorite," you know, 20 years ago, and it's lovely. I mean, I guess I had a clue.
It's lovely when you hear that.
Yeah, it's very flattering.
Because you were my favorite 20 years ago.
Oh, thank you.
But I was avoiding saying that, with the hope of maintaining a little objectivity here.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
Xanadu.
She also starred in the movie Xanadu, although a better title would have been Xana Didn't.
Ugh, that's disgusting.
Two of a Kind with John Travolta didn't do much better.
That's what they said about the pet rock. It was $1 million industry.
But her music career was still hot. And then she just dropped out. She married longtime boyfriend Matt Latanzi and decided to stay home to raise their daughter, Chloe.
I wanted to have a child, and I had her quite late. I was 36 when I had her, so 37. And I concentrated on being a mum.
6 years later, she was getting ready to jumpstart her career. Everything was in place. And then, on the very same day in 1992 that Olivia's father died, she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
I was supposed to go into rehearsal that day for my tour, so my whole life was in total chaos. I couldn't even grieve my father because I was having to deal with my own illness.
That must have been terrifying.
It was a very shocking and scary thing, because I was very I was very healthy. I exercised, I took care of myself, I didn't smoke. It's not in my family.
She decided not to tell her daughter, then 6, about the cancer.
The year before I was diagnosed, her very best friend died of cancer. And so the word to her meant, "You're going to die." And so I told her that Mummy had a lump and it had to be taken out, but she was fine.
Daughter Chloe did find out a year later from someone at school. But by then, the worst of it, the chemotherapy, a partial mastectomy, was over. Olivia seemed to be turning another corner. She focused her energies on animal rights, and she filled her Malibu home with pets. Then she and her husband divorced after 10 years of marriage. You went through a tough time. You went through a terrible time with cancer and your marriage and family problems. When did you know that, okay, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, maybe this is coming to an end now?
I don't know if you ever think it's coming to an end, because there's always new problems presenting themselves, but I think it's an evolution. I think I'm still learning and growing from it.
She's been in remission now for 6 years. All signs of the cancer are gone. In September, she'll turn 50. For a lot of women, 50 is this terrible milestone.
Well, it's a milestone, but I'm not going to look at it as terrible. I think you can make a choice on how you look at it. I'm thinking, I'm just lucky to get there. I'm saying, thank you. I'm going to be 50. I'm going to celebrate this one.
I honestly love you.
She has a new album coming out next month, even re-recording her old hit, I Honestly Love You. But Olivia says she has no wish to go back in time to her younger self. When you see Grease again now, what do you think?
I think, what were you so worried about? Because, you know, when you're 29, usually you're so insecure about yourself, about how you look, about your weight, about your figure. And I look at myself now, I go, what was I worried about? It was all perfectly fine. It was really funny in retrospect when you think about all the things you were so hung up about.
Oh, yeah, big Polly.
I think I'm enjoying this part of my life more than any time. And I feel, for the first time, comfortable with myself and comfortable with who I am and with my age. And I think as you get older, that's what happens. So that's one of the gifts. You might lose other things, but you gain in wisdom and confidence and all these other things.
Olivia Newton-John says one of the movie's biggest fans is her own 12-year-old daughter, Chloe, who watches it on video so much it's like it's on automatic replay.